Guys, it's late. I really wanted to get this video out though. I did a recent video, well, my very first YouTube video about successful prints and sticking adhesion to bed. Going over it, it sucked. Wanted to make it the information quicker and better. So now that the prints are successful, just going to quickly go over this and then give you my tips on successful prints. So please stay tuned because it's going to be a very important uh, tuned. Let me just go over quickly. My very first print failed, mainly to do with the slicer settings and the printer settings. One of those being the lift speed, as well as the exposure time being too great on the main layers. As you can see here, it is here. It failed. It started the first layers, the burnout layers were fine. No issues there, but the lift speed and the suction just I wasn't able to withstand it. So that failed. I did a lot of research. That's when I made that video. So yeah, I have a successful print. I've successfully printed a few times in SLL now. I've already had. I'm going to go through some background of later on in another video that all the stuff I've done with FDM printers. I've got a large, massive Modix Big 60 furniture printer. Done successful prints on that, as well as Dremel, 3D FDM 3D printer. But at the end of the day, this is my first time with SLA, and if I was going to recommend any printer, definitely a resin printer far outweighs an FDM printer. FDM printers suck compared to resin. So if you're looking between the two and weighing it up, I tell you now, put your investment in a resin printer. So, especially with the information I'm giving here, I can't see how you can fail. So yeah, I've worked on the sculpt a long time ago. I had them printed at Shapeways. I'm going to see if I can find that video. Here he is, out of Shapeways. Someone sold a few copies. Someone bought him in Thailand. Was coated in 24 karat gold. It was a beautiful sculpt, but at the end of the day, Shapeways is way too expensive. Bear with me on another video. I'm going to make a third video basically about my projects, where I'm going, the studio I'm creating. I'm putting my heart and soul into this. So I'm going full steam ahead into this direction. And I got too busy with work and I left because it was too expensive with Shapeways. And now more options have opened up to me, and with the desktop SLA printers and how cheap they have become now. Yeah, so practically he is a very successful print. After he was printed, I then printed his body parts. So I plan to mold him. So I've printed all these parts separately and joined them in Mesh Mixer. So I'm going to quickly bring that up to show you. Once again, stick to a third video to see where I'm going out with this. And you can see in here I've come in and I've broken them up, I've cut them up, and I've turned them into, let's see if I can turn off the main body or helmet. There's the head. So as you can see, I've added connection parts, everything to them. We'll go over that in another video. I then printed all these parts, also successful. No real failure, but something did happen, I believe, with this sword here. It's a little too thin, so I need to work on the sword and the bow. Both of them are a little too thin. That's more of a modeling issue than a print issue. But another little first up tip is that something broke off in the vat. After I cleaned this all off, I didn't check my vat, and when I tried to put my print bed down, it wouldn't go down, and I didn't know what was wrong. I cleaned out my vat and found there was a chunk in there. So there's a tip: always check. Even if you've had successful prints, it might be something in there. Check your vat. So after I printed that and him successfully, I'm starting to clean him up, join him. Uh, you know, I got to work on the joints. That's the only thing. I know it would take a little bit of a clean up, but you know, it's taken more than I thought it would. It's working out really well. I can't wait to show you the project and where it's at. I mean, I'm pretty much well, sanding him, bogging him up, and getting him ready for the process of molding. So that's where he's at with that. Yeah, and that's the back of him. I've got some. This is just some details that the resin 3D printer captured, which was awesome. More details. So Lotus, yeah. And here, like I said, I printed him a long time ago. I'm going to tell you the backstory of this in the other video. But this one's practically from Shapeways, larger one. But in the sense of, I kind of don't know how much this printer was. I think it was like 130,000 at Shapeways, so I've been told. And for a $1,300 Australian, in odd, the details are not, they're, it's just phenomenal. It really is. So I'm looking forward to going over this project with you and the many other projects I have in mind, and some old projects I'm bringing back to the forefront that have been sitting on the back wheel. But yeah, now that I've had successful prints, and that I'm going to go through my tips. So, like I was saying, please stay tuned. These tips are very important. They help me get my very first prints successfully, and I've gotten all the information I could from many other YouTube videos and information online, and I've just compiled it all into tips that work. Clearly, they work. So, thank you. I guess I will see you at the end of this, during this video and at the end of this video. So, thank you very much. Okay guys, over into the slicer and printer settings, and this is the most important tips I have for you. All the bedding stuff, that's the foundation of it, but this is where a lot of failures can happen. So, practically you need to know your resin, very important. For all you people who are out there who know how to 3D print, this information means nothing. This is just common basic knowledge now. But for newbies like myself, understanding what resin you're using, the manufacturer, and the specifications for your printer is very important for successful prints and adhesion to bed. So practically, beginning with exposure time, different resins require different exposure times throughout the layers. So where I went wrong on my first print, I was giving an exposure time of 6 seconds. Completely unnecessary for an aqua grey from Frozen aqua resins, grey blue, only need 2 to 2.5 exposure time. Very important not to overexpose or underexpose your layers. The next aspect, is the size of your model and what you're printing on your bed. Really matters with the lift speed. So how your printer bed is coming off and the speed of which is coming off your FEP or your VAT. If you have a really large model, you probably want to slow it down from the 60 mark, and bring 40. I did about 40 millimeters, I guess, a minute, and that worked for me. And I had a pretty big. I pretty much well used the whole bed of the Frozen Sonic Mighty 4K. So slow down your lift speed. Very important for successful prints, especially larger ones. Smaller prints and small little things, this 60, it works fine. There's no reason to slow your printer down. You can try it out. For me, a lot of the smaller things I did, like the coin, this speed was absolutely fine. The other aspect is the exposure time on your first burnout layers. So your very first layers, you want it to really adhere to your bed. So I'm sitting around the 50 seconds of exposure. 50, 55 I found was too much. It was really hard to get off even my flexi plate. 50 on a large. This is for aqua. Aqua resins from Frozen. So like I said, it's really important you find out which resins you're using. So, but understanding those principles of your lift speed, your bottom layers, and your exposure time, depending on it, is very important. So I wanted to keep this video very short, as informative as possible. So really, I've just put it down to the basics of your build plate, those aspects of what you can do, your VAT, your resin VAT with your FEP, and those little things you can do. 100% all help and very necessary, I find. But understanding your resin is really the key. All of it combined, you're definitely going to get successful prints. I know that hands down. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you found this information helpful, and yeah, I will see you in the next video if you're interested to see my upcoming projects and where I'm going with all of this. So we'll see you then. Thank you.